Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're in Brno at the Masaryk Racing Circuit for the season finale of the 2023 championship in the ESET Cup series. And joining us right now, you are on the starting grid for the Renault Clio Cup race number 1. My name is Pavel Fabry. I'm your commentator for the weekend, and we have got the cars currently ready on the starting grid. It is the season finale, however, with the Clios, as the season was actually quite dominant this year. We already crowned both of the champions. We've got Mark IV class and the Mark V class, depending on the generations of Clios that each respective driver is actually racing, and it is Martin Kadlecik, the 2023 champion, on pole position once again. The white car number 301 on pole position, Martin Kadlecik. He was again fastest in the qualifying. Szabolcs Lantos alongside him, the Hungarian driver, leading the Mark V class in his car number 95. We are actually missing some, let's say, high-profile names, mainly from the Carpac Racing team, who are also racing in the Renault Clio Cup Europe. And this season finale is clashing with one of the rounds there, so missing the typical orange-colored cars on the grid. We've got Miha Primožič on row number 2. That's Miha Primožič, second in the Mark V class on the grid. Alongside him, Jiří Zbožinek, P4, and his best qualifying so far. So he's as high as row number 2. For Jiří Zbožinek, this would be a great opportunity to actually sort of get the season back on track after the bad luck that he suffered earlier on. He had a contact in one of the races at Most. As a result of that, his engine overheated and was damaged beyond repair, so he didn't really know what would happen next, but then they managed to get hold of a spare engine and get the car ready for Slovakia. He was actually then forced to sit out the entire weekend because of clutch issues, but he's back now for this final round, his home round. And of course, he'll be hoping to top the season with a good result, potentially even a podium. And his Mark IV Clio should be able to actually fight forward, because still it's nearly valid that the Mark IV class is marginally faster than the Mark Vs, although thanks to BOP regulations, these two generations are getting more and more even. Row number 3, that's Dejan Robidat and Ondřej Fekete in 5th and 6th. The cars number 88 and 888. Behind them, Adam Konopka in 7th overall, and he's actually 3rd in the Mark IV class. Andrej Makarovic, P8, Nick Stefancic down in P9th on the grid, and alongside him Richard Meixner. He had technical trouble yesterday. We'll see if the team managed to sort everything out in time for the race. Rudolf Beňo then leading the Mazda MX-5 field. Behind him Tomáš Kazarka, Marko Kazarka and Andrej Kamenišťák. We have the MX-5 field again separated from the Clios, so they are starting behind a little further down the grid. So you'll see a gap of a couple of places on the grid between Clios and the Mazda, so that they do not mix up in the opening corners, but then through the race they of course might do so. 5,403 meters, so 5.4 kilometer long racetrack. And it is a typical venue hosting the season finale for the ESET Cup in the beginning of September. And for this year, we've been greeted with a picturesque weather. Complete blue azzurro above in the skies. No sounds of clouds pretty much anywhere around. And very pleasant temperatures. Around 25 degrees, not even hitting 30, so it is colder in the morning, it is colder towards the end of the day when the sun hides, so nothing gets too hot during the day, and that's pretty much the ideal that you can have. Wonderful weekend ahead of us. and all the spectators that are currently present at the track. If you still want to visit, you can do so. We are of course very happy that you're joining our live stream once again, and I'm absolutely sure that you will get eventful, exciting action that you can be looking forward to for pretty much any race that we have on the bill for the weekend. Cars now getting back on to the start and finish straight, so finishing their formation lap. This is the final S's around the go-karting track on the infield, and everybody will now take their places on the starting grid in their respective grid slots. So Tomáš Pekař, whom we do not have on the grid, is the champion for the Mark V class. Martin Kadlecík, champion for the Mark IV class. So pressure is off. And maybe thanks to that, we can have an even more eventful race. Already, Renault Clio Cup is providing wonderful racing. So let's hope for more, let's wish for more, and let's get ready for more. The red lights are on. The red lights are off, and we are racing here in Brno. 25 minutes on the clock as we are getting going here in Brno at the Masaryk Racing Circuit, and immediately it is a three-way fight into the first corner. Miha Primožič, wonderful getaway from the Slovenian driver, and he's immediately up into the lead, but Martin Kadlecík is not going to give it away for free, and he's fighting to keep the first place, which he doesn't do, and he's falling, dropping down to second for now. So Miha Primožič up into the lead of the race. Wonderful stuff from the from Primožič. Martin Kadlecík diving down the inside immediately. Jiří Zbožínek fighting with Szabolcs Lantos for third. And Martin Kadlecík back in the race lead. In the third corner, he's taken away from Primožič. So Primožič still leading the Mark V class from Lantos. Jirka Zbožínek taking a fight and defending from Nick Štefančič. Štefančič had a wonderful start from P9 to jump up to 5th. And now he's going to 4th. Jirka Zbožínek trying to defend, but he must focus a little bit more to that day-glow yellow Clio right in his rearview mirrors. That is Adam Konopka in the ARC Bratislava team, and he's currently third in the class, wanting to take a fight for second. Kadlecík back in the lead in the meantime. The car 301 in the first place once again from Primožič, the car number 21. Through the Kevin Schwantz corner we went, and now up the hill again. It is a very, very steep uphill section, and look at the advantage that Martin Kadlecík is immediately managed to get. Towards the final S's. Mid-speed corners left and right. Opening the taps here, hitting the apex nice and early, and then making it as wide as possible to actually get as much of top speed, as much of speed, as much of pace as you can onto the start and finish. Not all of the orange cars are gone. And this is actually quite interesting because Richard Meixner has swapped cars compared to yesterday. His one broke down and he was off the pace in quali, not really going very well along the straights. So the team immediately brought a spare car for him. Another Mark IV that was left in the team's headquarters. So Richard Meixner now the one in the orange liveried Clio. Michał Primožič in the meantime leading the Mark V class, but having to defend hard from Szabolcs Lantos and Nick Stefancic. Lantos, Stefancic, Primožič. That is the fight for the race lead in the Mark V class. Richard Meixner making his way up. He's just dealt with Makarovic and Robida, and he is currently in 8th overall. Primožič leading the Mark V class, trying to go defensive, and but Lantos dives down the inside, exiting the stadium section. That was a beautiful move from the Hungarian. Szabolcs Lantos now leading the Mark V, and Stefancic trying to follow suit. He's trying to find some space down the inside. Look how dusty and dirty it is down the inside. He's going to have to be quite careful. He's locking the rear tyre. Adam Konopka trying to have a go of his own, as he's already dealt with Jirka Zbožínek. Now he's trying to get in the mix with the Mark V. Oh, 3 wide into the left-hander. Konopka was trying to find some space around the outside, but that door was shut very quickly indeed. Primožič no longer leading. He's dropped behind Lantos. Stefancic tried to do the same, but was unable to repeat that feat. However, it's Adam Konopka now down his inside and snatching the position away from Stefancic as we are completing lap number 2. So again, it is quite eventful. Lots of overtaking there. Jirka Zbožínek now wanting to have a go of his own. He's having to resort to the outside line for the start and finish straight, and round the outside he's gonna have to go through the opening right-hander, which is the longest way possible around here. And Jirka Zbožínek away from that fight for now. Here is Lantos, not really getting away from Primožič, but they are both now having Adam Konopka in their mirrors. Konopka, not the best quali for him. He's up for it in the Mark IV class, but he lost quite a lot of places to the Mark V Clios in qualifying. So he's actually having to cut through the pack in today's race, which he is doing. But of course, that costs him quite a lot of time compared to the race leader, Martin Kadlecik. Martin Kadlecik set the fastest lap of quali yesterday in the afternoon. He did 2:24.7 and he was 1.3 seconds away from everybody else. Adam Konopka, 2:26.1. Szabolcs Lantos set the 3rd fastest time. There were penalties applied after the last round, so Konopka was demoted. Stefancic was also demoted. Stefancic was actually 2nd in the quali regarding the lap times, but both him and Konopka had to start way further down the pack into today's race. There is Konopka now following Michał Primožič. And there is Richard Meixner already getting himself in the fight with Zbožínek. Meixner taking 3rd from Zbožínek, off his hands for now. Kadlecik absolutely unfazed by anyone and anything. In a vast lead for now, as we are approaching the start and finish straight, or the finishing line once again. 2:24.8 for the next fastest lap, for another fastest lap. That was actually the previous round. Now Kadlecik did 2:25.2, so he was actually about half a second slower than on his previous attempt, but he's already enjoying 4 seconds of a lead in front of everybody else. It is Lantos leading the Mark V class. There he goes with the predominantly white car with orange highlights. Behind him Primožič and Konopka troubling the Slovenian. Slovenia, of course, coming through terrible flooding in the past week, so our thoughts go towards everyone affected by that. The racing drivers and teams themselves present here, actually safe and sound, which is great to see, great to hear. We had a bit of a chat about that yesterday, with quite a lot of people affected, so just wish them all the best into these very, very difficult days indeed. There is Konopka already ahead of Primožič, so they swapped places, but now Konopka is not really managing to get away from Primožič, which is a problem for the Slovenian because he's trying to actually defend from his compatriot Nick Stefancic. Stefancic very close behind, and we've also got Richard Meixner in that orange Clio, getting himself into the mix. And we've still only done less than 10 minutes. It already feels like forever, because we've seen so much in this race already. So it feels like we've been racing for a long, long time now. And we've still got so much ahead of us. Completing another lap. This is the lap number 4. And across the line we go once again. 4.9 between Kadlecik and Lantos, but Lantos making a breakaway of his own, as he's already 1.7 seconds ahead and away from Adam Konopka. How about the lap times? Kadlecik did 2:25.6. He's 0.8 of a second slower than his fastest lap of the race, but even despite that, he's managing to be nearly a full second faster than everybody else on the track. Amazing pace that Kadlecik has once again. Szabolcs Lantos 2:26.4, Konopka 2:26.6, but then Primožič 27.6, Stefancic 26.8, Richard Meixner serious pace 26.2. He's the second fastest car on the track for now. Of course, that is now going to get hampered by the train of cars that is directly ahead of him. He won't be able to lap as fast as he was up to this point, but still, that is a very good promise for Richard Meixner to have a great race. Nick Stefancic very close behind Primožič. Slipstreaming past one another down into the Kevin Schwann's corner. Stefancic trying to play a dummy on Primožič. He had a tiny little quick look down the inside, but Primožič shut the door immediately. So Stefancic swapped for outside in the reaction. Now he's again having to try around the outside, which is not the way to go. So slotting in again, slotting in behind, as we are approaching the halfway mark of the race. 13 minutes left on the clock now. Kadlecik leading from Lantos, Konopka, Primožič, Stefancic, Meixner 6th. Behind him Zbožinek, Fekete and Robida, Rudobenio as the leading Mazda already entering the top 10. Behind him Makarovic in 11th. Then we've got Tomáš Kazarka, Marko Kazarka and Andrej Kamenišťák. And we've just clicked onto the second half of the race. Primožič versus Stefancic. That is the fight for 4th. But more than that right now, it is actually fight for 5th, because it's Meixner right on the rear wing of that predominantly white Clio. Ooh, Stefancic trying to dive down the inside in defense, and he is actually surprised Primožič. Now they are running side by side. Wonderful stuff from Nick Stefancic, and he's up into 4th. So from having to go defensive, He found a bold overtaking opportunity which he took. Now it's Primožič trying to respond. Both of these actions blocking the way for Richard Meixner. Meixner currently third on the road among the Mark IV Clios. We've actually got multiple ARC Bratislava cars on the road. The Clio is only one of them, of course. Then the majority of the field in the MX-5 class is again ARC Bratislava Roadsters. Driven by Tomáš Kazarka, Marko Kazarka and Andrej Kamenišťák. Rudo Beňo managing to take the better of them for this race. Meixner diving down the inside on Primožič. Fantastic stuff from the local driver. It's a day and night, yesterday's and today's performance. For Richard Meixner yesterday, his car was not really working properly. I saw him from the rooftop of the paddock building just driving past the pit straight, or basically driving past the pit lane, and the car was barely moving. Now it's a very different animal. Of course, he and his team made quick action and they swapped for another car. And that one is functioning properly. Meixner then up to 5th. Stefancic 4th, so he's the next target. Karlecik already enjoying more than 6 seconds of a lead, which by now will have increased over 7 seconds surely. And this is the Mazda fight. Wonderful scrap for second in the category. It's both Kazarka boys fighting it out between one another. Andrej Kamenišťák following suit. So 3 yellow cars having a blast on the Saturday afternoon here in Brno. It's the ARC Bratislava blockade, as they are now enjoying the entire track for themselves where they are. Kamenišťák trying to get into the fight. Ooh, nice dive down the inside, what a move. That was Tomáš Kazarka overtaking Marko. Andrej Kamenišťák closely together with them, as they are now providing entertainment for everybody present in the stadium section on the grassy hills that are surrounding this wonderful section of the track. So typical for the Masaryk racing circuit. And now down the straight we go into the Kevin Schwann's corner, which is the lowest point of the track. Actually right behind that corner. Through the right-hander we go. And there is it, the lowest point. From here we're now climbing quickly back onto the start and finish straight. And what an uphill section this is. These are very hard corners actually. They do not look like that, but of course you've got to have the best racing line possible and hit the apex right at the best spot, and then open the taps as early as possible and make your track as wide as possible on the exit to actually get the best traction and the best acceleration, because if you fail to do that, you will be penalized all the way up to the top. Yeah, like that. Richard Meixner now skipping across the gravel and across the grass. This is going to cost him dearly. This is exactly what I was now trying to explain. So great demonstration actually from Richard Meixner for my point. Not really great for him, because you'll just lose so much speed because it's so steep uphill. There is Konopka. Stefancic getting closer. Lantos already some margin ahead. Just under 4 minutes left on the clock. Adam Konopka still defending hard. That yellow car took a lot of battering earlier on this season. There were big crashes mostly at Most. The team had to repair the car quite significantly. They did a great job. And Adam Konopka is able to finish the season. But he's now under full attack from Nick Stefancic, the Renault Twingo Cup champion from the past 2 years. He's trying now to leave it for the start and finish straight, trying to make the widest possible entry to go on throttle as early as possible, hitting the apex nice and early. He's already got a tiny speed advantage, but he's also a little bit blocked behind Konopka. So they will be slipstreaming past one another on the start and finish straight. Stefancic having a look down the inside, but he seems to be too far away. The opening corner is actually quite fast and seemingly never ending. 2.5 minutes left on the clock, so we're about to do 2 more laps actually. Well, this and the next one. Konopka still holding on to his position, which is currently 3rd overall. Of course, this fight doesn't really change anything about the result in their respective classes, but of course it's a fight for the overall glory. Who scores that final podium place in the overall race standings? There they go. Ooh. Nick Stefancic seriously using every single meter of the track that's on offer. Konopka left the door open, entering the corner, and had to shut it right away. There's the Mazdas being lapped. Stefancic, tight and tidy exit from the stadium section, and look how close he now is. Konopka weaving along the straight. Stefancic trying to have a go down the inside anyway, at least to unnerve the Slovakian driver. Konopka really defending very hard indeed. Ooh, and there's maybe even a contact, I do not know, but you wouldn't even be able to fit an A4 sheet of paper between the cars in that corner. There's the Mazdas now in the mix. They can prove decisive. They should allow these Clios past, but they are staying on the racing line. For now, they should actually even stay there and remain there. But this is now handing an opportunity to Nick Stefancic. He's trying to have a go, but as I mentioned, it is a very fast right-hander, the first corner. Ooh, and Primožič also skipping across and nearly tripping over one of the Mazdas. The time is up now, so we are finding ourselves on the final lap of the race. Kadlecik, dominant, absolutely dominant. He has not been beaten in any race so far. Every single one he's won. We are on the final lap. So, 19 years of age, Martin Kadlecik. I was now trying to Google whether he's over 18 or not, because if he wasn't, and then he couldn't drink any of the champagne, he would have a terribly large collection for his 18th birthday party, but that's already gone. He's 19, so he can enjoy everything on the podium anyway. And up the hill we go again. Absolutely in the class of his own. Doesn't matter whether it's Mark 4 or Mark 5. This is Martin Kadlecik. It's absolutely dominant. And let's get back with him, because he's now going to go across the line. There he is, Martin Kadlecik, remaining unbeaten for the penultimate race of the season once again. There is one more left. And if he wins that one as well, then he will have won everything in 2023. Szabolcs Lantos coming home second overall, but winning the Mark 5 class. Great stuff for the Hungarian driver as well. And it is Nick Stefancic, third on the road in the end. So he did find the way past Adam Konopka in the end. And he is scoring the third place overall in the race. It of course didn't change anything in the respective class, as I already mentioned. So Stefancic second in the Mark 5 class, Konopka second among the Mark 4 Clios. Richard Meixner, after a beautiful race of his own, he's third in his class and fifth on the road. Primožič third in the Mark 5 class. Then we've got Jiří Zbožinek, Ondřej Fekete, Dejan Robida, Rudo Beňo P10, and then Andrej Makarovič in P11. And behind them, the remaining Mazdas, Tomáš Kazarka, Marko Kazarka and Andrej Kamenišťák. What a race this was. Another dominant display and a lights to flag victory. Very nearly, actually, it was Miha Primožič up in the lead right at the start, but Martin Kadlecík didn't really lend him the first place for very long. In the second corner he was already back in the lead, and then from then on he was absolutely untroubled for another absolutely and vastly dominant performance. Szabolcs Klantos victorious in the Mark V class. So what a race this was, and as I mentioned, we've got one more left in the Renault Clio Cup for this season. It's of course coming tomorrow, round about the similar time, a little early actually, it's 10:35. That's when Renault Clio Cup is on the program tomorrow, and you can also check the highlights, the best moments of the Saturday's race. This was the decisive move for the Mark V victory, and then wonderful fight, multiple way fight actually. There was Primožič, Konopka, there was also Stefančič involved. Richard Meixner then came and stole some places. This was a hairy moment for Richard Meixner, but no bigger drama befell him in today's race. And then this very interesting fight between Konopka and Stefančič in the latter part of the race. And that was that, Martin Kadlecík scoring his 11th victory of the 2023 season. Tomorrow he'll have a chance to score the 12th and the final one. And with the graphic confirmation of today's results, it is for now a very warm goodbye. But of course, do not go away for very long, because we will stick in. We shall have the display of historical Formula 1 cars, some GP2/Formula 2 cars as well on the track before we go on to the big one and for the first GT sprint of the day. I was actually sorry. I'm sorry. It's the other way around that I said. It's first the GT sprint, then it's the Boss GP display, and then it's the TCR Eastern Europe. So yeah, either way, we're going to be back very shortly, and it's now the big guns coming in.